Well, hello everybody. I know it's been a while, but we are glad to be back and welcome you to Talk More Talk, a solo Beatles video cast where we talk about all things from the solo years, but also occasionally, maybe even a little more than occasionally, Beatles. We're thrilled to be back, and we have, because it's been a while since we've been able to get together, a jam-packed show filled with news, because a lot has happened since we last saw each other. So that's our theme today. We are going to dedicate this to all the latest news that's been going on in the Beatles and related world. So I'm Kit O'Toole. I am the author of Songs We Were Singing, Guided Tours to the Beatles' Lesser Known Tracks, Michael Jackson FAQ, All That's Left to Know About the King of Pop, and the co-host of the podcast Toppermost of the Poppermost. And as always, joined here by my good friends, Ken Michaels. You all know, of course, a mainstay in the Beatles world. He and I don't know if he ever really sleeps because he is the host of several shows, including his own YouTube channel, Ken Michaels Radio, Every Little Thing, which is a syndicated show where he plays just that, and also the co-host of the popular podcast Things We Said Today. Joining him, of course, is his co-host from Things We Said Today, but he doesn't do just that. He is also the longtime host on WFUV of, oh gosh, I'm blanking out. What's the name of the show, Darren?
No name of the show. I'm just one of the DJs.
Just one of the DJs.
On
Okay.
WF, just one of the DJs.
Just, well, not just one of the DJs. He plays, and as not only Beatles, but a wide range of musical knowledge. I'm always impressed by that. So we have Darren, and last but definitely not least, we have Joe Mayo, who is the host of his very popular YouTube channel, Mean Mr. Mayo, but of course he is anything but mean. And it does not only stuff about his collection, Beatle collection and related, but also some great comedy, movies. He has a movie channel, so we're all just super busy doing all kinds of stuff. Yeah. It's just crazy. So, guys, glad to be with you again.
Good to see all of you.
Yes. Howdy. Missed everyone.
Yep, absolutely. So, all right. Well, without further ado, let's get to our main topic, which is the news. So, we, of course, have the news guy, the news guru, not just guy, guru. So, we are going to, Ken's going to talk about what's been going on, and we're going to offer our thoughts. And also, Ken, take it away.
Okay, well, first of all, let me just say, since this is our first show since the Fest, it was that long ago, there's been a lot of news that has accumulated in all that time. So some of this will be several weeks old, some of them's brand new. I'm sure that some of these items here that I have you weren't even aware of, but there's a ton of it. So I must caution you, this will be one of the longest newscasts you'll ever hear me do.
The king of all news.
Yes, the guru.
Too bad we don't have a teletype noise.
That's right.
Behind you.
There's a reason why they have a pause button. Mm-hmm. And this is a show which you might want to just, there's already a lot to absorb here.
Yep.
But we'll start with the new duet between Barbra Streisand and Paul McCartney, My Valentine, which was released last Friday. And you can now listen to it online. This is Paul's song that he wrote for his wife Nancy that first appeared on his Kisses on the Bottom album in 2012, and he's performed it on his tours ever since. The recording is part of another album of duets from Barbra called The Secret of Life, Partners Volume 2. Other big names sharing vocals on the album include Bob Dylan. That's got to be interesting. Barbra Streisand and Bob Dylan. Sting, James Taylor, Seal, Josh Groban, and Tim McGraw. So since we've all listened to My Valentine, Joe, in fact, I know, did a video on it. Let's find out from my colleagues here what they thought of it. Let's start with Kit.
I love this. I am just I've been playing this. I think I've talked before about I've never been a super big fan of My Valentine,
Hmm.
but this version really changes my opinion of it. Barbara Streisand, of course, is a world-class singer, interpreter, phraser, and I mean at 83, unbelievable. She just sounds terrific on this.
Yeah.
Paul, I mean, people have been talking about his voice and everything. I think he sounds pretty good on this. I think he's smart not to stretch his voice too much, trying to hit, the super high notes. Let Barbara do that. And the arrangement is gorgeous. I mean,
Mhm.
just gorgeous of this sweeping, and I was talking about this on another show recently, how that both of them turn the music lyrics into almost a dialogue, kind of speaking to each other. And I thought that was a great approach. I am in love with this. I think it was just beautifully, beautifully done.
Okay, good. I'm eager to know, Darren, your
I
thoughts.
I liked it a lot. I've always liked the song a lot. I hesitate to say I've loved My Valentine, but I really like it a lot. And when I don't like duets albums.
Mhm.
And I can't help but think that duets albums represent either a lack of ideas or the end of a career.
Hmm.
I believe Frank Sinatra's last two albums were duets albums. Tony Bennett did a couple late in his career. Um, it seems to be a go-to thing for singers to have to do duets. Um, a much different example is when Santana and Clive Davis came together, and the result was Supernatural. And now almost everything Santana has done has had to have guests. I just I'm not a huge fan of these duets projects. So when I heard that Barbara was doing another one, and I'm not that familiar with the first one that she did, but when I heard that she was doing this one, McCartney would be part of it, the Bob Dylan would be part of it. Um, I kind of
Hmm.
was my reaction.
Hmm.
Ooh. But I like this, and I'm encouraged at how Paul sounded. He doesn't sound great, but I think it shows that McCartney can still handle himself behind a mic, but he has to sing in a measured manner, not what is needed on stage,
Right.
where his voice is just about, I hate to say it, cooked. But in the studio setting,
Hmm.
um, there's ways that you could phrase things, there's volumes, there's all kinds of, you know, I'm not even going to use the word auto-tune. Those are two words. I'm not going to use the words auto-tune. I'm not talking about that, but there are ways in the studio, and he showed it on a lot of the tunes on McCartney 3, where he could still sound good. He could sound his age, and it still be listenable, and maybe more than listenable. And My Valentine proved that that could be done. There's a little bit of I think the balance is a little off because Barbara can still belt it a bit.
She sure
Paul
can.
can't.
Mhm.
And they don't, a little bit, there's a pulse in the back. Seems like he's whispering. And then
Mhm.
Barbara hits those notes.
Mhm.
All is, but it's still fine. Um, I really want to hear it, off a CD with headphones on a good system and not a computer speaker and, off a YouTube channel. Um, I'm very curious to hear what the Bob Dylan duet's going to be like. Although I'll say this, the three standards albums that Bob Dylan's done in recent years were surprisingly good.
Mhm.
Um, and his voice, for the most part, does not get in the way of the material. Dylan's a smart singer, and um, I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised She's also singing with some contemporary people on this album.
Hmm.
So it's just not all older acts. Leve is on the album. I think Hosier is, if
Yes.
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he is.
So it looks like it's going to be an interesting record. She was one of the artists on my bucket list to try to see live. And right before, it was actually just a few months before COVID hit, I was able to take my daughter, my wife, and my mother to see Streisand at Madison Square Garden, and she was fabulous.
Wow.
I mean, I grew up with her music. My dad loved Streisand, and in the late 60s, early 70s, I'd always hear a bunch of her albums in the house. So I give it a thumbs up. Looking forward to listening to it better again under better circumstances
Okay.
or situation.
Mhm.
All right, Joe. Do you kind of agree with Darren that a duets album kind of has that stigma of this being the end of someone's career?
You asking me?
Yeah.
Um, uh, I didn't think about it till he mentioned it, and I thought, yeah, now that he mentions it, I think that's a lot of times what happens. But if anything, that would pertain more to Barbara, I guess, not so much to Paul. It's not Paul's song really.
Yeah, it's Barber's album. Yeah,
Barbara's
it's
Hmm.
album. Yeah, so I never thought, I didn't think about it, but now Darren made me think about it a little
you
bit.
know
That
what
seems to
it was
happen.
the two Sinatra albums, which I think are just called duets and duets two. I
Yeah.
think were the last two albums Sinatra did. And then the Tony Bennett albums came out very late in his career, and I think from that point on, I hear duets and I think this is sort of a calculated move for one reason or another, and a lot of times comes late in the singer's career.
It does come late a lot, yeah.
Okay. But your feelings about this recording?
Well, the first time I heard it was on my phone. I listened to it, and I liked it right away. Thought Barbara Streisand was really fantastic. I mean, I'm not a big expert or anything on Barbara. I know she's an amazing singer, and I was saying that, oh man, she sounds like the Barbara of old. She hasn't missed a beat. And people corrected me, who were real fans, and even my girlfriend, who's a trained singer, and she's always doing that,
Uh-huh.
correcting me when need be or giving her opinion. Said, well, actually, she can't reach some of the high notes and everything, but she was very good. She's very good. So people were telling me, yeah, she did do a few things that different that shows you she's not as she was, but to me it
Mhm.
sounded great. She
Yeah.
sounded great.
Yeah.
As far as Paul, I was kind of bracing myself because that's what I do these days, unfortunately, because Paul can be rough vocally, but I think when he's in the studio, because Darren was saying, you can get away with things a little more. Maybe you could play with things a little more trickery, and I like what he was able to do on McCartney 3, able to maybe I think write songs that kind of suit his voice these days. But on this, I thought he was pretty good on it. I didn't think he was great, but it's a second time that I heard it, which this time we plugged the phone into the car auxiliary, and it sounded like a CD. I mean, it sounded good when I did that, and that's when I played it for my girlfriend, and she loved it. By the way, she thought they both were very good, including Paul.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Paul was good, but especially the second time, I'm thinking he it's not really his song. I mean, he wrote the song, but I mean, it belongs to Barbara in this version, I think. And he doesn't even seem to be singing maybe as much if we're going to
Yeah,
calculate how much
Hmm.
they
yeah.
have together. Not
Less
so
than.
much. Is it a real duet, or is it basically Barbara Streisand with a little assistance and background from Paul? It is like a whispery voice in a way. I got the feeling right from the beginning that he's kind of trying to keep it easy, tame. Don't
Yeah,
try to do too
Yep.
much.
Right.
right.
He knows what he can do and what he maybe can't do. But I thought it worked. It worked, and it was a respectable version. And it's hard for me at this point to tell which one I like better out of the two. I like My Valentine. That's our song.
Uh-huh.
Just worked out around the time we were getting together and stuff. And I don't know about this version. It may be better in a way. We're going to play the Kisses on the Bottom soon. evaluate. They're both good is the main thing for me. It's not like I feel like, oh, gee, this one's really terrible. The other one's great.
Hmm.
They're both good to me. I like them. And the arrangement on this new one really stood out to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I happen to like this version a lot. I can't say at this point if I like it better than the one that was all Paul, but it kind of worries me that he took this approach as he did. I mean, I understand why he did it. When Kisses on the Bottom first came out, he would talk about the whispering voice, which he said he liked from singers of the past. Um, I think Bing Crosby, he called it like a littler voice. And so a lot of the songs on Kisses on the Bottom were that way. There were songs on Kisses on the Bottom that were more his natural voice, like My Valentine, or Get Yourself Another Fool, or Only Our Hearts. So I wasn't sure why he'd have to do the more whispering voice on this particular arrangement. Why couldn't he sing it the way that he did on Kisses on the Bottom?
Can
But
he?
at the same time, what's
Can
that?
he? Can he? That
Um,
is something I thought the same thing, and I
Yeah.
That's a
like
long time.
he
When
might
did they
not be
record?
able to.
When did they record this? By the way, do you know when this was recorded?
I think it was last year.
But it was recent. It was recent.
Recent.
So it's
Yeah,
13 years after or so. 12.
Hmm.
yeah. But anyway, what I like most of all, first of all, it's a dream come true for me that these two are on the same record together. One of the things I like about a duets album is that it gives certain artists the chance to work with other people they never have before and to sing with them before. This is a duet. There are certain songs from Paul's career that I wouldn't consider a duet. To me, a duet, you have to have two vocalists who have moments when they sing solo wise. And in this case, this certainly, I think, qualifies as a duet. Something like 4 or 5 seconds with Kanye West and Rihanna, Paul doesn't sing at all. So it's not a duet, it's a collaboration,
Hmm.
But what I like most of all about this version is when they're harmonizing together and they sound really great when they do. I don't mind the softer voice from Paul here. It would be foolish to try to compete with Barbara in any way. She still sounds like gold. It's amazing
Yeah.
that her voice is as great as it is.
Amazing.
And I think they sound really good together. I wouldn't mind if Paul did a duets album with all the people that he's wanted to work with that he's never gotten around to. Elton John has done a ton of duets through the years, and I admire that about him. He's done enough just by himself. So has
New
Paul.
album,
What's that?
his new album with Randy Carlisle.
Hmm.
Right. There you go.
One big duet.
He's not afraid to do that. And Paul's done a decent amount of duets, but they're scattered a lot through his career. I wouldn't call when Paul did his duets with Stevie Wonder and Michael Jackson thinking that was towards the end of his career. He was
Yeah.
only, 40 at the time. So I just like the combination of these two. I'm glad that there's some recording with Barbra Streisand and Paul McCartney. And I wish they'd do more. I wish Paul would sing more with other people, even when he's not at full strength like he is these days. You know. So those are our thoughts about My Valentine. You guys watching can chime in, on the comments here. Let us know what you think. So, in more news, in addition to the next leg of Ringo's All-Star Band tour beginning June 12th in Bridgeport, Connecticut, which I'll be going to, I can walk there.
Wow.
That's at the Hartford Healthcare Amphitheater. Ringo shows no sign whatsoever of slowing down, as he's just added 11 more shows for a fall tour beginning September 10th in Chicago. That was with Kit's influence, I'm sure.
I
The
thought of that as soon as
Chicago
I saw
Theater
Chicago.
Yep.
he starts right near me on this leg. He starts right near Kit.
Yep.
We have pull here.
That's right.
Okay, so the other dates end on September 27th, and that's the last of 6 dates that he's going to do at the Venetian Hotel in Las Vegas. Okay, I only hope Ringo does something from Look Up.
Yeah.
That's my,
Yeah.
the one thing I'm hoping for. So to change the set list just a little bit, especially with all the positive reviews that his album got.
I'm betting he's going to do Time on My Hands at least, if he was only going to do one.
That's what I would bank on.
Yeah.
Okay. Beatles author Keith Badman reports that an interview that George Harrison gave to renowned British author, composer, record producer, and session bass player Mo Foster in April of 1995 at Abbey Road Studios when he was working on the Beatles anthology with Paul and Ringo will be coming out. George kindly allowed Mo to interview him on camera about the project, a classic encounter which has never been shown before publicly. So, 30 years later, the British Music Vault is proud to present, with the kind permission of the Foster estate, this historic clip for the first time ever as one of the highlights of its launch, which will be in July of 2025. Mo Foster died in July of 2023. Beatle fans should know him for a song he co-wrote with Ringo, Joe Walsh, and Kim Goody, In My Car. From Ringo's Old Wave album, Mo also gave music seminars at Paul McCartney's Liverpool Institute for Performing Arts. To watch this interview, it will be on the British Music Vault's YouTube channel in July. So you had to subscribe to that. Okay?
Mhm.
Now, the documentaries. Let's cover them all at once. One to One John and Yoko is still playing in just a few movie theaters around the country. This was after spending a week in IMAX theaters. To find out if any movie theaters near you are still showing it, you have to go to one-to-one-film.com. Also, there are various digital platforms that are making this available to watch, including, let's see, Apple TV and Fandango. You can go to this website to find out all the platforms running it. Justwatch.com.us/movie/one-to-one John and Yoko. On Apple TV, they're also offering the John and Yoko documentary Above Us Only Sky and the recent documentary Daytime Revolution, all about John and Yoko's week in 1972 co-hosting the Mike Douglas show.
A
Of course,
must watch. That was a
Yeah.
great documentary.
Yeah.
the Daytime Revolution,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
very, very in depth. It's great.
Mhm.
Interviewing all the people that are still alive that were guests, which mainly Yoko picked. She had a lot to do with planning that. Now, the other Lennon documentary that's just come out called Borrowed Time premiered in cinemas in the UK on May the 2nd. They're working on a distribution deal for the US, but it is also available for streaming on the Iconic Film Channel. Now, according to the director, Alan G. Parker, who we just interviewed on the Things We Said Today podcast, plans are underway. What they're hoping for is a theatrical release in the US in August, followed by a DVD and Blu-ray release with extra footage from a director's cut on the Blu-ray. And you can see the new interview we did with Alan G. Parker on the latest Things We Said Today, which you can find on all audio platforms and YouTube. Okay, so if you're wondering what's going on with that one, watch our interview or listen to our interview with Alan G. Parker. There's more where Lennon documentaries are concerned. American film director Steven Soderbergh, known for such films as Sex, Lies, and Videotape and King of the Hill, is currently in production right now on a documentary that is centered on John Lennon's final interview. This was the one that he did at the Dakota Building for the RKO Radio Network on the day he was murdered. And we all know we've done interviews with Laurie Kay. She was a part of that. And she, by the way, is interviewed in Borrowed Time. The still untitled documentary is the first one in a long while for Soderbergh. He is now in search for a distributor, with the film expected to be completed by the end of this year. More news on documentaries. The long-awaited documentary on the life of Chris O'Dell, who worked as a personal assistant to the Beatles and Peter Asher, as well as for the Rolling Stones, and became rock's first female tour manager, is now available for streaming worldwide ever since May 13th. It's on Peacock, Prime Video, Tubi, that's Tubi, and other platforms. It is also available on DVD and Blu-ray. It received its premiere in Tucson, Arizona last month with Chris there for a Q&A. All right. And keep this thing going with movies. Just announced in the past 2 weeks, probably the most exciting news for me, word on Paul McCartney's High in the Clouds, his animated film that's been in the works for several years now. There's an actual advertisement that has it listed for coming out in 2027. It will feature many celebrities voicing the characters, including Paul, Ringo Starr, Celine Dion, Jimmy Fallon, Lionel Richie, Idris Patel, and Idris Elba.
Wow.
The film company Gaumont is producing the film and already has pre-sold it to top distributors in major territories around the world, although I haven't seen anything listed for the US yet. The movie will have original songs from Paul in it, and Universal Music is releasing a soundtrack album for it. Originally, I heard there'd be 9 songs, including one with Lady Gaga. Recently, I heard it's 7 songs. I don't know what's accurate there. But there will be new Paul McCartney songs for us to listen to in this animated film.
Yeah. And it goes back to like, I think this was first announced in like 2013 or something that
Well, the
we're
book came
working.
out, I think, in 2012.
Yeah. Yep. And so finally we can see it.
Yeah. Well, from what I've heard, animation takes a real long time.
Yes.
It's a shame that we never got a full-length Rupert the Bear. But
Yeah.
this we'll get. Anyway, we got those animated shorts from Paul, which are wonderful. Now let's do some book news. Luca Parassi's new book on Ringo is called I Play the Piano If It's in C. Of course, taken from early 1970. This is the book right here, which I've been reading. Luca, we know for all the work that he's done on Paul McCartney books. I've got Luca to the left of me.
Luca to the right. Here I am. Sorry.
And in addition to that, I just found out moments ago before this show, he's working on a press to play book.
Yep.
Wow.
I just saw it like minutes ago, Ken.
Oh my God.
A press
That's awesome.
play book.
Mhm.
I think we should have Luca much more often on this show, I think.
Does he want to interview me for it at all?
Yeah, show him that video.
What's that?
An old video. There's an old, but well, you're gonna
Yeah.
Joe, jokingly ripped up. This was like 10 years ago or
Yeah,
more.
12
a
years
copy.
ago, a long time ago, before I knew better.
Really?
No, I had a copy of the album that was scratched. It wouldn't play right, so it was an expendable copy, and I used it for a prop, for a joke, to
Nice.
convey my dislike for the album at the time.
But you've kind of come around a bit.
I've come to appreciate it a little more since then.
Mhm.
Same thing with Driving Rain. I've come to appreciate a little more.
Yeah, he's gotten older. He's matured.
Yeah, now you're a full-blown nut.
Yeah.
Of course, we all know Paul McCartney's book on Wings, The Story of a Band on the Run, comes out in November. The same month, there'll be a picture book adaptation of the animated short Happy Christmas War is Over. The film won an Academy Award for Best Animated Short. The production team that worked on the film have created this book to continue the timeless message of peace. Okay? Boy, Alan Cozen will be happy with us for this. A Portuguese translation of the McCartney Legacy Volume 1 comes out October 31st, called Paul McCartney O Legado Part 1. It can be pre-ordered on Amazon.
Wow.
For you, Alan and Adrian. And Paul is paying tribute to one of his heroes in the new book, Buddy Holly, Words of Love. Paul contributes to the foreword, and the cover art is done by Ronnie Wood. The concept for the book originated from the Who's singer Roger Daltrey, who says, Words of Love is a perfect title for this stunning and definitive history of Buddy Holly, as well as being one of the great rock and roll pioneers. Buddy wrote and sang some of the most beautiful and enduring ballads about love. The book has just been released.
Wow. Who's the author? Is there?
I don't
Wait,
have an author listed,
I
but
was curious.
yeah, but it's called Buddy Holly Words of Love.
Mhm.
All right. Just got in touch with our colleague Ken Womack. As you know, just recently he had put out the first of two books on Mal Evans, Living the Beatles Legend. We know there's a follow-up which will include Mal's diaries and his notes, his private possessions, stuff like that. And he just emailed me letting me know that it'll be coming out in November of 2026. So don't know what the cause is for the delay in it, but that's when I'm not even sure if he's finished with it.
Yeah,
But
he's still working on it.
yeah,
Well, that's
so
good to know because I had a question on that on my one of my live streams. Somebody wanted to know, and I thought I had heard maybe the end of this year, so I
Yeah.
didn't have the right information.
no, that's what I heard last.
Mm.
Was the end of this year. So David Bedford's latest book is now out, which he wrote with Andrew Phillips, called What If? Times when Beatles history could have worked out very differently, taking a look at the many scenarios that might have happened had not everything fell into place for the Beatles. An interesting concept right there. New book called, and Darren filled me in on this, Buzz Me In, Inside the Record Plant Studios. It's written by Martin Porter and David Goggin. It includes interviews with employees, artists, and record producers who worked and recorded there. And John recorded there for several of his albums, Imagine, Mind Games, Walls and Bridges, um, and also part of rock and roll. And he recorded Walking on Thin Ice with Yoko there the night when he was murdered. And that book oh no, it's coming out in June.
Mm.
Buzz Me In Inside the Record Plant Studios.
It's really really good. I've got a copy from the publisher, and it's one of those book. I always kind of jump into the middle of books when I first get them. I go looking for, you know, um, the juicy parts, and then go through it from the beginning, but I went immediately to sections that dealt with John Lennon's work there
Right.
and the fact that he was there the night he was murdered, that he left the record plant um, and went on his way home, and we know what happened. But there's lots of stories about all Springsteen and all the people that worked at record plant through the years. So it's really a cool book, telling lots of stories. So and there's so much Lennon in there. I thought it would be something that you know many of you would probably be interested in.
Okay, I want to look into that,
Yeah.
definitely. Also, a good friend of ours is Shannon McDonald, who is a tremendous artist
Hmm.
who's done all kinds of work. In fact, her work has been on display at the Hard Day's Night Hotel in Liverpool. A lot of portraits and all kinds of paintings on the Beatles she has done. And she has a book coming out in August, Hard Day's Night Hotel Book. It has over 120 Shannon original paintings featured in this book. Stories also coincide with this are written by the Cavern Club owner, Bill Heckel. It features a commanding size of 12 inches by 17 inches, wrapped in a hardcover with over 200 pages. When this hotel opened its doors in Liverpool, this was in 2008, the big question always was asked, will there be a book? Well, the answer is finally here. You can go to her own website to see samples of her work, and you can find T-shirts with Beatles images on there, and mugs, and all kinds of things, pocketbooks, and she does stuff on lots of icons: Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, John Wayne, those people, Marilyn Monroe. Just go to artistshannon.com
Marilyn
.com.
Monroe.
Or
Sorry,
if
I'm
the book
sorry. I
comes
talked
out.
over that. I was doing a line. I talked over that. I'm sorry. I said Marilyn Monroe. Sorry. You got to read that again. That information.
Yeah. So you can just go to her website, artistshannon.com, so you can see all the work that she does. She's really tremendous. Also, Bill Last, former writer for Good Day Sunshine magazine, just released his new book called The Beatles Collected Videography. Bruce Spicer has his latest book coming out, Beatles for Sale to Help, and includes not only information about those two albums, but the American albums that came out at the same time, Beatles 65 and Beatles 6. That is coming out August the 12th, and he's accepting pre-orders on his website. And as usual, his books have contributions, articles written by Al Sussman, Bill King, Pierce Hemmingson, and Frank Daniels. You can go to Bruce's own website, beatle.net, if you want to order that. Pre-order that now. Also, our friend Jude Kessler has her latest John Lennon book, which is called Some Forever, Shades of Life Part 2, coming out in August. It covers the period August 65 through August 66. Now, both those books, by the way, will be available at the upcoming Fest for Beatle fans in Chicago, and both Bruce and Jude will be at the Chicago Fest. So I'm sure they'll be happy to sign copies, and there's a chance Al Sussman said he might make it for that too. So he might sign the book for you too.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Also, moving away from books, I should mention, of course, as many people know, Beatles Anthology book is being reissued, and that's coming out in November, which leads to all kinds of speculation. Is that going to be the major release? Are they going to do a lot to tie in with the 30th anniversary with the Beatles Anthology? We can all bang our heads against the wall till the last quarter of the year and try to figure out what's going to be done. There's a lot of rumors about the Beatles Anthology. None of us knows for sure, but the book is coming out in November.
Do you have
I'm
an
still,
exact date?
No,
yeah,
I just know it's
No.
November.
I'm still processing that you said 30th anniversary
Yeah.
of the anthology. My
Yeah.
God, really? I can't believe it.
I can just remember watching the Free as a Bird video, sitting on the
Yeah.
couch
Yeah.
with my, well, eventual wife, holding hands, big moment watching Free as a Bird on television.
Yep.
On my own YouTube channel, Ken Michaels Radio, I just did an interview with Daryl Easley, who is the editor of Record Collector magazine, and also our friend Owen Lynn, who is a freelance journalist, and he wrote the book George Harrison in the 70s. They just put out in December this issue dedicated to John and Yoko and all their recorded works, films about them. There are films about John and films that star John covered in here. It also has information on Julian's discography, Sean's discography. Back in December of 2023, they put out this issue on Paul McCartney's solo career. So I bring this up because when I had both Daryl and Owen on my YouTube channel, they told me that December this year, it's George Harrison.
Oh, nice.
Will be an issue coming out devoted to George's solo career. I hope next year there'll be one on Ringo. Okay, so something to look forward to. Great work, by the way, from Record Collector. They outdid
It's a good
themselves
magazine, yeah.
with both these issues right there. Just the fact that they went the extra mile and covered Sean and Julian too. It's tremendous. Okay, also, where Ringo is concerned, the deluxe version of his 2005 album Ringo Rama has just been released by Friday Music as a double vinyl album. There are two versions, a translucent yellow vinyl with bonus tracks and a translucent purple vinyl with bonus tracks. Now, the bonus tracks are the three songs that accompany the deluxe CD: Blink, OK Ray, and I'm Home. Plus, as a hidden bonus track, the song I Really Love Her. This is the first time the album has ever been released on vinyl, but I must caution you.
Here it is.
Looked at the track listing,
Oh,
and they're missing three songs from the
What?
original album.
What?
They don't list Instant Amnesia, I Think Before I Rock and Roll, and Tripping on My Own Tears.
Well,
Oh,
Wow.
I bet you they trimmed them to fit it on one LP so that they could have the second
is this in
LP
the
for the
is this in
bonus.
Yeah. Yep.
These are double albums.
no
I
no but
know,
what I
but
mean
go ahead, Joe.
is it in the is it in like the words in the article, the article, or is it actually
I
like
think I
in the
took it
album text of the
off
record?
Friday Music's website. I think I
Maybe they made an error. They should have listed them
It
because
could,
if it,
yeah, maybe.
I would
Who
want to look
knows?
at the actual
I
album
ordered
cover.
them,
okay.
but they haven't arrived yet. I'm still waiting for my colored vinyl Volat. And I think Live at Soundstage. I think
Yeah.
Friday Music also. And I don't think those arrived yet either.
Hmm.
Come to think of it, I got to find out what's going
Yeah,
on
sounds.
here.
I'm looking because I'm a collector of things that the official vinyl releases. I mean, I collect bootlegs also, but I mean,
Right.
if it's something that was out as an album by them, live or studio, I want to get the vinyl release. And I've been dying for all Ringo's albums to come out that haven't been Liverpool 8 and Vertical Man and Choose Love and so on. So I'm glad Ringo Rama was announced, but it's going to be $70 for the double
Yeah.
record.
It's
Wow.
one of his best albums right there. But w- we'll double check on this, but I'm pretty
Mhm.
certain that this is how it is. I'm
Yeah, I'm
thinking,
looking now at what's on their website.
okay,
And the first song on the album is Eye to Eye.
right. That's like it is on the album.
Missouri Loves Company. And then Instant Amnesia.
It does say that?
Oh.
Oh, I see why you might have missed it. Now I'm looking on it. I have my phone here, and the
Okay.
way it's listed out, it is confusing. One, Eye to Eye. Two, Missouri Loves Company. Ringo Starr featuring David Gilmour and Timothy B. Schmidt. And then on the same line, three, Instant Amnesia. Ringo Starr featuring Timothy B. Schmidt. Four, Memphis in Your Mind, Ringo Starr featuring Roy Orbison and Timothy B. Schmidt. It's a little confusing the way it's listed. Side two, Never Without You. Ringo featuring Eric Clapton. Two, Imagine Me There. Ringo featuring Eric Clapton and Sean Colvin. Three, I Think Therefore I Rock and Roll. Ringo Starr featuring David Gilmour. Four, Tripping on My Own Tears. Ringo Starr featuring Sean Colvin. And then that's it.
Hmm.
Which doesn't sound right. That does sound like something's missing.
Yeah.
No,
Right for me, right one for me.
right.
On side three with Willie Nelson. Is that that I don't remember. Is that one of the main album tracks?
Yes.
Mhm.
All right, so it spills onto side three. What Love Wants to Be.
Right.
Ringo Starr featuring Van Dyke Parks. Love First, Ask Questions Later is third. Fourth, Elizabeth Reigns.
Mhm.
Ringo Starr featuring Barbara Starkey and Van Dyke Parks. Side four, English Garden. And track two is I Really Love Her, hidden
Hmm.
track. Three, Blink, bonus track. Four, Okay Ray. Five, I'm Home. So it
Okay.
looks like they're all there.
Yeah. Well, my
But
apologies, folks. I know I read it
What are you
somewhere.
trying to do? Give me a heart attack or something?
or or they just corrected a mistake. This might be just because it is the listing here on my phone is a little the margins are a little confusing.
No, I
Hmm.
know I double checked this because
Mm.
I looked and I was able to figure out which ones were missing. Maybe they changed it.
Yeah.
Maybe they made a mistake in the beginning. But I'm glad
Now
you
I have
picked
to
up on that, Darren.
now I have to find out where my copy of Volat and this live at soundstage is.
We'll update everyone on that as well.
Yes, definitely.
So this is considered a spring summer release, which you can now pre-order at fridaymusic.com. Okay, here's something that I bet you didn't know about. Beatle fan reported this, that the 2019 film Yesterday, which uses Beatles songs, is now being made into a West End stage musical in London. The writer for the film, Richard Curtis, and the director, Danny Boyle, just held an event looking for investors, including Sir Cameron McIntosh and Lord Andrew Lloyd Webber. Won't Alan be thrilled to hear that? An insider said there was a performance this week to show the basics of what the production would be, and all the big players in London's theater world came along. It's a no-brainer that any theater will want to host it, so there is likely to be a bit of a bidding war to host it. These are the most famous songs of all time, so we could run and run. So we thought we heard the last of yesterday. Au contraire. So I hope that it does well in London. It's an interesting story.
I
No
think
doubt
it could
about
work in that form.
Mhm.
it. Yeah. And I know that I would regret it if, and I never hear the end of it from Kit if I didn't mention this. Spinal Tap 2 comes out called The End Continues. That's on September 12th. There'll be cameos from Paul McCartney, Elton John, Garth Brooks, Questlove. So we'll be looking forward to that. Paul
Oh,
Schaefer,
I hope it's good. I hope it's good.
how can it not be
Yeah,
with a
true.
lineup such as this?
Yep.
Boy, I hope. What's his name? I forgot his name. Gary Wilbur. I hope you're watching these.
Yeah,
Mhm.
there's a lot of honeymooners references here. But anyway, and Fran Drescher's in it too.
Mhm. Oh, right, because she was in the
Really?
original, right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I just said Paul Schaefer too. So
Look at the
Mhm.
they,
White Album. There was nothing on that goddamn cover.
that's such a great role that she played. She's in there for, just a few minutes.
Bobby Flackman.
Yeah, she steals the show.
Let's see. Paul's grandson, Elliot Donald, graduated New York University last week, and Paul attended the ceremony along with wife Nancy and daughter and mother of the graduate, Mary. The English indie rock band, The Kooks, have just released their new album, Never Know, with a cover of Paul's song, Arrow Through Me, from the
That's
Days of
right.
Wing.
Yeah.
Okay, do we need to go into the Zak Starkey saga?
Oh my
Yeah. What the
God.
heck?
What has been going on?
Here, can you explain to me what's
Roger
happening?
Roger Daltrey's losing it.
Yep.
I,
All
I,
right.
I
Take
certainly,
notes, everybody.
I
Ken's going to
certainly,
straighten this out.
no, I won't, because I think this is all Roger's doing, because it seems like Pete just
Yeah.
wants to, go along with whatever Roger wants.
Yep, I agree.
So we have the sacking and rehiring and firing once again of Zak Starkey as the Who's drummer. Zak has had that position for the past 29 years, and there was a problem when Roger Daltrey accused Zak of overplaying at the group's performance at the Royal Albert Hall. Now the Who have reversed course again and fired Ringo's son Zak again 2 weeks after reinstating him. Band leader Pete Townsend took to his Instagram and shared a post saying that Starkey would no longer be touring with the band, but did not specifically say he had been fired. It read, after many years of great work on drums from Zak, the time has come for a change, a poignant time. Zak has lots of new projects in hand, and I wish him the best. Scott DeVores, is that how you pronounce his name? Who has worked with Roger Daltrey's solo band, will join the Who for our final shows. Please welcome him.
Ken, if I can say, I'm beginning to think that it could be true that Keith Moon actually never really died. They just kicked him out because he was overplaying.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Of all
Because he was
things,
such a subtle player.
Yet,
that's one thing you don't want from a Who drummer is to overplay. But that fit the style of what they wanted all along. So, but
I
Zak,
mean, I just think it's crazy. After 29 years, Roger Daltrey decides he's overplaying. I mean, what?
well, there's hearings going too. Well, both of
Well,
them. Both of them.
yeah,
People. I don't know.
Zak
weird.
said that he's been fired from the band once again. He said, I was fired 2 weeks after reinstatement and asked to make a statement saying I had quit.
Oh, right.
Um, I had quit the Who to pursue my other musical endeavors. This would be a lie. I love the Who and would never had quit. So I didn't make the statement. Quitting The Who would also have let down the countless amazing people who stood up for me. Thank you all a million times over and more through the weeks of mayhem of me going in and out and in and out and in and out like a bleeding squeeze box. What a great quote.
Oh, I see what he did there.
So I don't know. I think we should boycott The Who on this show.
No,
That'll
that's
teach them.
And they're doing their latest farewell tour too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you think, you'd let Zach stick around for a few
yeah.
more.
There's something very bizarre. At this point, you fire Ringo's son.
yeah. Something weird's going on.
All right. We're getting close to the end.
Mhm.
Not completely,
Mhm.
but we have other news that involves Zach and also Ringo. There's a one-off new charity record that Ringo plays on and features Johnny Depp on guitar and Zach on percussion for Fatima Whitbread's children's charity. Fatima is known to the world as an Olympic gold medalist and former world champion javelin thrower. She recently set up a charity aimed at helping children living in care. Pete Townsend is on bass, and Whitbread added some vocals. The song is called Take My Hand in aid of the Fatima's UK campaign charity and was due to be played April 23rd and 24th at her One Voice Summit at Guildhall in London. The song is now available for download via online music platforms for those of you who collect everything and for a good cause. And also, Zak Starkey released a recording on his Instagram account. You can play this, I know, off of YouTube. This is of the T-Rex song "Children of the Revolution," featuring Axl Rose, Slash, Duff McKagan, Elton John, and Ringo Starr. Proceeds will go to the Teenage Cancer Institute. You know what's really interesting about that is that if you watch the Born to Boogie documentary, which Ringo directed, um, he does Children of the Revolution with
Hmm.
Elton John.
He looks great in that. That's my favorite Ringo
Mhm.
look.
Yeah.
I was I was yeah, I was listening to this track, when you
Yeah.
brought it up, but boy, Elton plays some fire piano on that. I mean,
Yeah.
he
Mm,
really does. Wow.
I have to check that out. I did not know that.
Yeah.
So,
Check it out. I don't love the whole song, but Elton's piano is just
Hmm.
incredible.
hmm
He still got it.
oh, no doubt about it.
Yep.
And, two charity records right there you might not have known about. Okay, a new video was made for Badfinger's song Moonshine from the reissue of their 1974 album Head First. You might want to check out. There's a new compilation, Joe Cocker Sings the Beatles. It was
Oh,
released May 16th and it's available as a digital download on Amazon. We all know Joe Cocker's recorded a lot of Beatles songs through the years. And also, Maybe I'm Amazed, I know he covered. All right, and let's see. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We can talk about the inductees, but more importantly, I'm mentioning them because we have Joe Cocker, who we just talked about, and Paul was saying some really nice words about Joe Cocker to try to get him inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Elton John did the same thing for Joe Cocker. So I'm sure they're very pleased that he's going to be inducted posthumously, as will someone else in the Beatle family that we should all love, and that's Nicky Hopkins, who's getting in. So very happy to hear about those two getting in. In case you're curious, Chubby Checker finally will get in. Bad Company, Cyndi Lauper, Soundgarden, White Stripes, Outkast, Salt and Pepper, Warren Zevon, Carol Kay, Tom Bell. Yeah, great stuff he produced. Okay, so those are
I
the
didn't hear
ones.
the monkeys in there.
I don't think so.
Well,
You
come on.
should get your hearing checked. Yeah. And we wind things down with some important concerts coming up. First of all, and I'm not sure if this sold out or not, but I know many of you will be interested in this. If you haven't heard about it, there will be a tribute to Badfinger in New York City at the Cutting Room next Tuesday, May 27th. And it's actually being done in part to raise money for Joey Mullen's family for all the medical costs when he was in the hospital. And Mark Hudson will be performing there, as will Billy J. Kramer. Steve Holly will be performing, and Drew Hill from the band Liverpool, the keyboard player. And there are supposed to be other special guests. And so check out thecuttingroomnyc.com for that. I know I'll be going, so if any of you plan on going to that show, run into me, say hi, and that should be a tremendous show.
Billy J. Kramer posted, I think just yesterday on his Facebook page about a really moving,
Yeah.
post saying, how Joey's death is still affecting him and what an honor it is to play at this. So it sounds like it's going to be a very special night.
Yeah, I had no idea he was that close to him,
Yeah,
but you never know.
apparently.
Also, the guitarist Martin Sexton, who's been touring, performing the Abbey Road album in its entirety. He'll be doing a show at Outpost in the Burbs in Montclair, New Jersey. That's on May the 31st, doing the entire Abbey Road album plus some of his original songs. If you're interested in going to that, look up. Boy, there's a lot of things here, a lot of websites I'm telling you all about. Outpostintheburbs.org. All right. Peter Asher is giving a concert in New York City at the City Winery. This will actually fall on his 81st birthday, and that's on June the 24th, and Lawrence Juber will be in his band. So two events there where you could see various members of Wings, Steve Holly and then Lawrence Juber for Peter Asher. There will be a tribute to Paul McCartney called Sir Paul, celebrating the music of Paul McCartney at the Vogel at Count Basie Center for the Arts in Red Bank, New Jersey on June the 13th at 7:30 p.m. There'll also be another Paul McCartney birthday tribute show that's on June 15th at The Gutter in Brooklyn. What an appetizing name for a club there.
I never heard of the Gutter. These clubs in Brooklyn pop up, and
Okay, well, there'll be 15 acts, all performing 2 to 3 McCartney songs. There's a chance, not a guarantee, our friend Mike Lynch might be one of them. He should warm up with the Things We Said Today theme that we use because it was him that wrote it and recorded it. Okay, and also the Laurel Canyon Band, which consists of Mark Hudson and Gary Burr.
right.
Mark Morando. So you got Mark Hudson and Gary Burr, both from the Roundheads. Gary Burr still working with Ringo, giving a free concert in Meriden, Connecticut for their Twilight concert series. That's on July 17th at 7 p.m. You can go to GaryBurr.com. You can look up all the dates for the Laurel Canyon Band. They actually do a lot of harmony music and a lot of Crosby, Stills, and Nash and Young.
Mm.
But if it was me, if you're in the audience, yell out instant amnesia. See what happens.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And of course, there's the Chicago Fest for Beatle fans, which happens August 8th through the 10th at the Regency O'Hare in Chicago. And finally, we send out happy birthday wishes to Olivia Harrison, who on May the 18th turned 77.
Wow.
Okay.
She looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Oh yeah.
It's
Oh
scary.
yeah.
Alrighty.
So was that enough news for everybody?
Wow.
Wow.
No, we want more. We want more.
Now you know what's going to happen. Scott O'Rourke, who does his own Beatles show with the Beatles, he's going to write in and say, "But you
You
forgot."
missed. Yeah. You missed it.
Yeah.
You missed this.
I put there's something I forgot, but he keeps me on my toes.
Yep.
Someone has to.
That's right.
Thank you, Dan.
All right. Wow, that was a lot to get through. Is there anything else that people know, any of us know about that, because I've heard there are rumors, and I stress rumors that Paul may be touring in the fall. And maybe some stadiums,
Yeah.
but obviously nothing has been absolutely confirmed about that. But Darren, you heard that too?
Today, I think I saw something that kind of like was hinting at a hint of a hint, like, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, so
Ah,
obviously no solid confirmation yet, but
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not confirmed, but there's
mhm.
people have been running with it because I don't know who it was exactly, an NFL guy or
Yeah,
something that said Paul's going out too, or something this year, or something like that.
oh, yeah. It
And
wasn't,
it wasn't enough for me to report it on my channel. I didn't feel.
mhm.
yeah.
But we're aware of the rumors, but we don't know, we don't have any inside info. But if obviously when something happens, when we hear something, we'll let you know.
Okay. Well, Paul, I just have one request. Please just put out the new album before you
Yes.
It's been a long, long wait.
Yep.
So that's my number one. The one thing I'm looking forward to the most is a new McCartney album. We were
Mhm.
blessed with the new Ringo album, which I think is fantastic. So now I'm just waiting for Paul.
Yep.
And we got
Well,
plenty of stuff in the fall coming up with the one-to-one box set. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention Men on the Run, the documentary.
oh yeah.
That's going to be out sometime this year. So, and it would be the perfect time to put out London Town and Back to the Egg with Men on the Run documentary, Paul's own book on Wings.
Yeah.
I think if it doesn't come out this year, it may probably might never. It's the
Mm,
perfect timing for it with all the Wings activity.
yep.
Just let's slow down a little bit because the money, you know,
Yeah.
aspect of this. I'm still terrified at the possibility of what the Walls and Bridges box set might look like
Mhm.
after the Mind Games monster.
Well, that's kind of news in a way. If we didn't talk about it before, I
Mm,
think Sean pretty much had said that we're going to get some kind of a one-to-one kind of set
Yeah.
Yeah, we
box. He
yeah.
talked about that. I
oh
don't
yeah.
remember.
So I don't think they'd put out one-to-one and Walls and Bridges.
No, I don't think
Mm-mm.
so. So we'll probably get that. He said sometime around John's birthday.
Yeah.
So and people are just speculating. Would they try to work in sometime in New York City in there? You
Yeah, I was just
know,
going to say that because since that box set was supposed to happen and then poof, it just disappeared,
it would be a good way to kind of work it in without too
Yeah.
much attention if that's the route they want to go. But
Uh-huh.
it's going to get some attention anyway. But I don't know. You know.
Like,
Okay. So that's all I got for you.
All right.
all right. All right. Well, this was great to finally, as I said, get back together and catch up on all this stuff. And as Darren said, I guess we better get our credit cards ready because there's a lot a lot coming up.
Yeah, that's why I got to put priorities straight. There's so many things I got to get, and I got other. We all do personal things to take care of too. So there's
Yep,
other stuff.
absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. And also because we haven't had a chance to say this before, want to thank everybody who came to our Beatle Fest. Oh, excuse me, Fest for Beatles fans. I still call it Beatle Fest.
Yeah.
I still do. In New York. Thank you so much for coming to our panel, and thanks all of you who watched it online and commented. It was a lot of fun to do, and glad that everybody enjoyed it. And as always, we couldn't do this without you guys. So, absolutely. So let's go around and let people know what we are up to. There's always something going on. So, Joe, why don't we start with you? What are you up to?
All right. So on my YouTube channel, Mean Mr. Mayo, I did a couple of videos recently that kind of getting a lot of hits and people are interested in them. They started out as a response to Pop Goes the 60s. A lot of people know his channel. He's got some great videos on there. Like me, very opinionated, not afraid to say it. But he was talking about a survey that he did and about the most popular or favorite, I should say. That's the word I got to use, the right word. Not popular or best. It didn't apply. It was favorites, uh, Beatles songs. And they took a survey, and surprisingly, I thought, and John came up with most of them compared to Paul. But anyway, the idea was during his video, he happened to, I thought, it's just my opinion, slight the solo careers somewhat. So I made a video that was called What's with All Beatle Fans Who Are Not Interested in the Solo Careers, that kind of thing. So it was kind of a response, and he made another response, and it kind of went back and forth. And then I finally made a video called The Three Types of Paul Fans. So you might want to check that out. And I have another channel about movies, television, nostalgia, pop culture, all that kind of stuff called Mr. Cinemeo. And
Oh,
it's starting to really get more attention from me too, because I've let weeks go by where I don't do anything, and lately I've been really trying to put content up on there. So if you want to check it out, I'd appreciate it, Mr. Cinemeo. And we try to do a movie show live. Lately, it's been Monday nights about 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, live movie talk and stuff like that. If you ever want to go over to Mr. Cinemayo and do that. And lastly, I should have mentioned that on my regular channel, Mean Mr. Mayo, I have a Saturdays what I call Catch Up with Mayo. And I'm like you, Ken. I like the names. Some kind of names that fit good and everything. Catch Up with Mayo, and that's me talking about Beatles, talking about movies, talking about anything within reason, no politics, no religion, that stuff. And that's trying to do it now Saturdays, 4:30 p.m. Eastern live. So say hello, come on, etc. And hope to see you there.
All right. Great stuff. I did watch your video on the three types of McCartney fans the other day. And
Yeah.
you say it like it is. I love that.
Yeah.
Um, all right, Darren, what are you up to?
my neck.
Yeah.
Um, well, you catch me at WFUV Monday through Thursday nights from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. and Saturday afternoons from 1 until 4, 90.7 FM in the New York City metropolitan area. You can listen anywhere on our website, WFUV.org. And we have an app which you can download, another way you can listen. And that's about it. I have two Facebook pages. It says shoot me a friend request at Darren DeVivo and or click like or follow or whatever it is on the other, which is technically, I think, a group. And that's Darren DeVivo, WFUV, DJ and Beatle Podcaster, I think is the name of it. And that's about it for me. I've got some ideas for some things I want to start developing down the line, but I won't get into that now because I'll probably still be developing them a year from now. But that's all I've got to bring to the table.
All right. Well, you're keeping us in suspense. I love that.
I'm suspense too.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, Ken, how about you?
Okay, well, first of all, I just want to tell Joe I saw one of your latest videos where you were responding to Pop Goes the 60s and, defending how, a lot of fans out there, um, they stop at a certain point and they'll say, well, McCartney hasn't done anything good since this album or the 70s or whatever. And
And
I
the
really,
year varies. The album varies for a lot of
yeah,
people.
I know,
Yes.
but, it sounds like a lot of the things that we've all discussed here on this show. And, I hope that we all get the word out that way to, try to be open-minded and listen to as much as you can. And you'll be surprised for a lot of the music that you might not be familiar with, how much you might enjoy it.
Mm.
You only know if you really spend the time listening. So I just wanted to let you know how much I enjoyed that video.
Thanks.
Anyway, if you need to get in touch with me, my email address is everylittlething@att.net. I do want to just take this time to let everyone know that I attended a meet and greet with some of the listeners of WFDU, where my radio show, Every Little Thing, is run on Sunday mornings at 8 a.m. That's why I'm wearing this shirt.
Ah,
And I've been told, I'm really, so flattered about this, that my show is the highest rated show on their station.
Wow.
Really?
wow.
Sunday mornings at 8 o'clock. And this is from people who listen on the FM. So to anyone, whether it's through finding out about me here or things we said today, or it could even be from all my years at WDHA in New Jersey,
Yeah.
which is where WFDU is in New Jersey, in Teaneck. Thanks to all of you who listen to the program. And if you can't get up Sunday mornings, you can always listen to the archival editions of my shows. They run the last 2 week shows, and all you got to do is go to their website, wfdu.fm, go to their archival pages, type in the name of my show, Every Little Thing, and you'll hear the last 2 shows that they ran. But thanks to all of you who have supported the radio show.
Good.
As far as my own YouTube channel, Ken Michaels Radio, like I said before, I just did an interview with Daryl Easley, the editor of Record Collector Magazine, and Owen Lynn. By the way, they both wrote articles in the John and Yoko issue on Lennon albums. One is Walls and Bridges, the other is Men Love Avenue. It's kind of ironic since Men Love Avenue, half of it is rehearsals from Walls and Bridges. So we talk about their articles and their reviews of the 2 albums and how great this issue really is. And you can check that out on my YouTube channel. I did an interview with Charles Rosenay because he just had a festival, the Fab Four Music Festival, which he ran in Connecticut, as well as every single year he has trips to England at the end of August. It's Liverpool Convention Week. You can find out all about that. And I also thought I'd ask him something that I should have spent and should continue to spend more time with him, which is all the various people that he's met through the years. He's been doing Beatle conventions now for something like 40 years, um, going to England, organizing all these wonderful trips to Liverpool and London, often to Hamburg, sometimes to Scotland, important locations in Beatle history. And so we talk about certain people that he's met along the way, like Alan Williams, for example, Cynthia Lennon, Norman Rossington, all these people and a lot of the people I got to interview partly through him. So, his memories, sharing these memories of various people in Beatle history, that was a lot of fun. Terry Crane, I interviewed. He recently put out that mammoth 3 volume series copyrighting the Beatles, which covers everything through, I think it's the beginning of 1966. That was copywritten on the Beatles, whether it's songs, novelty records, plays, anything, you name it, that requires a copyright. He did all this incredible research, and we talked about many of the novelty records that came out on the Beatles in this time. Some familiar ones like Ringo, I Love You, you know, from Bonnie Joe Mason, who was
Yep.
really Cher, stuff like that. That was a lot of fun in that show. And finally, there's Tom Frangione from SiriusXM. We did a show because he's been saying to me ever since I've known him that Tug of War is the greatest McCartney album of all time. Not only that, but the greatest solo Beatle album of all time. So we did a whole show discussing why he feels that way. So
I
those are,
watched that show. It was good.
yeah. Um, those are the most recent interviews on my channel, Ken Michaels Radio. Thanks to all the brand new subscribers and all the faithfuls who have been watching my stuff for the last several years. Things we said today, I mentioned earlier, we just did an interview with Alan G. Parker, who's the director on the Lennon documentary called Borrowed Time. He was a lot of fun talking about what this film was like, the process of making it. It took many years for him to finish this, and the various people that are interviewed in that film. I was mentioning Laurie Kay before, but some very dear people like Tony Bramwell is in there.
Yeah.
That just Andy Peoples as well. They're in the documentary. And so hopefully we'll get to see that in movie theaters in August, and we'll be able to get the DVD and Blu-ray as
The
well.
Blu-ray has all the extras.
Yeah, that's the director's cut. Remember how much extra you said? Was it more than an hour?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Couple of hours.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and finally, my website, kenmichaelsradio.com. Loads of interviews from the past that are on there. They're strictly audio interviews with people in the Beatle world. And you have my ongoing Beatles trivia, in which you can win all kinds of prizes, like Head First, that Badfinger album from 1974 that came out in the year 2000, was just remixed by Bob Jackson, who, by the way, I just found out has been touring with the Buckinghams.
Wow.
Oh, really?
If you see the Buckinghams in concert, oh no, I'm sorry, take that back. He's touring with the Love and Spoonful.
Okay.
Better.
So,
Hey, they're a Chicago band. Come on. I love the Buckinghams.
okay. So you can win that. You can win Elliot Mintz's book, We All Shine On. You can win the McCartney Legacy book back there. Actually, volume 2 I have a copy of, not volume 1. I gave that away a few months ago. So that all happens on my website, kenmichaelsradio.com. Check it out. And thanks, like I said, to all the subscribers for my channel and things we said today, and for here, and for Joe.
Absolutely. All right. As far as I go, we are in the midst of recording the June 1965 episodes of Toppermost the Poppermost, and you can find the previous episodes. Of one of them we recently interviewed Billy J. Kramer, actually, about his years on the charts, and was a really fun interview. And so just go to toppermostofthepoppermost.net and you can find all the previous episodes. And as I said, we are working hard for new episodes and having a lot of fun. So, please do check us out. Rate us if you're listening on iTunes or most of the major platforms, you'll find us. And Ken Womack and I are starting a new series that starts next month, June 17th, called Classic for a Reason, where it's a class, but it meets one night. It's just a one-night class. But we are going to take you through albums and that are dubbed classics. We may even disagree on some that one of us may consider classic and the other one is not so convinced, and and things like that.
Sorry,
And
I said
so
I'm sorry, I was muted. Pet sounds, I had said.
yeah, well, that's one that we're going to talk about, and there's a
Thumbs down.
disagreement between the two of us on it. So this is going to be a really interesting. That'll be an interesting episode. But our debut will be next month, June 17th, 6:30. It's on Zoom. It's only online, and we're going to kick off our look at these albums with Rumors, Fleetwood Mac. That's a
Yay.
classic. Okay, everybody
Two
agrees on that.
thumbs up.
Two thumbs up. So we are going to talk about that. So please register. It's going to be fun. We're going to talk about ourselves. We're going to let the audience discuss why they think it's a classic. It's going to be a great time. So right now we're doing it every other month, but depending on how this goes, we may change it every month. Who knows? So
The two of you disagree on anything.
oh, you're going to see some because
Oh,
it'll be
interesting.
Pet Sounds and Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh, Pet
Wait a
Sounds is
minute.
I
Who
must
could
say about Rumors
anything
though.
bad about the Dark Side of the Moon?
Yeah, I mean,
Dark Side of the Moon's good.
the way Joe is about Pet Sounds, I'll give it away now. I'm about Dark Side.
Oh, I got you. Well, I wanted to say about Rumors, I was quickly. That's the first album that I listened to that wasn't a Beatles album where I said, wow, there's actually other artists that can have a great album from start to finish, all the way
Yep.
through.
Yep. It's a great album, no doubt about it. A great way to kick off our series.
My favorite Fleetwood Mac, though, mine, is Tusk.
I
No.
knew you were going to say that.
Really?
I knew it.
And I actually, and it could be because what radio's done to rumors.
It's overplayed.
Yeah,
Focus
I
mode.
sometimes I find I listen to the Fleetwood Mac album that came before it a little more, or like one of the Bob Welch from the. I'm a huge Bob Welch
Yeah.
fan, but
Yep.
the Dark Side of the Moon, Kit.
Not a big fan. I'm just not. I've never
Is it
gotten
a
into Pink Floyd.
Is it a okay? So it's a Pink Floyd
It's a
thing.
Pink Floyd thing. Now, I do like
Oh,
The
okay.
Wall. The Wall is good. I like that. But yeah, so we're going to disagree on that, and Ken is not as convinced about Pet Sounds. So we're gonna.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep. So
Oh, Ken and I are together on that.
Yeah, I know. Yep. So I'm gonna try to convince him. So we'll see how this goes. So just go to my website, kiddotool.com. I've also posted a link to register on the Talk More Talk Facebook page. And speaking of which, ways you can reach us, you can go to. Oh, did you want to say something, Darren?
No, I'm
Oh,
just
I thought you were, I want to say so if you want to reach us, you can go to talkmoretalk.com. You can go to our Facebook page, as I mentioned, and you can reach us through that. You can follow us on Talk More Talk One, the number one on Twitter, X, whatever the hell it's called now. And I find it hard to say whatever it is, but anyway, you can follow us there, and and as I mentioned, you of course can find us on this channel as well as all major media platforms if you just want to listen to the audio. So so I think that's everything. So for Ken Michaels, Joe Mayo, Darren DeVivo, this is Kid O'Toole, and bringing you all the news that's fit to print. See you next time.
take care, everyone. Bye.